Okay, now we're going to learn how to evaluate a determinant. Notice the notation. See how these look like absolute value bars? When you see what looks like a matrix but with absolute value bars, it immediately is telling you to evaluate the determinant. Or you may have a matrix where it's in matrix form, and then the written instructions will be evaluate the determinant of the matrix. The determinant of matrix. So if it's in absolute, what looks like absolute value bar form, that's telling you it's in the form where you need to find the determinant. And it's pretty easy. So notice down here, I have a 2 by 2. This is a 2 by 2, and this is a 2 by 2. And you're only going to find the determinant of square matrices. You're not going to find the determinant of a 1 by 3. Only when they're square. Okay, so I just have named the location A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, and this is the procedure to find the determinant. It's A times D, so you multiply the diagonals, then you the first diagonal, which is upper left to bottom right, that's the first diagonal, subtract the second diagonal, which is C times D. So in this case, the first diagonal is negative 14 times 29, and then we're going to subtract the second diagonal, which is 26 times negative 18. And when you do the result of that, oh, and I should have had my calculator handy. Let's see if this one will work. It's not a great. A negative times a positive is a negative, so we have negative 406. Bring down the subtract sign, and then 26 times negative 18 is negative 468. And subtract a negative becomes add a positive. And when you add those two together, you get 62. So the determinant of this matrix is 62. Now we're going to go, let's see. Evaluate the determinant of each matrix. So notice, I have it in matrix form. I just switched it to determinant form, put all the same values into the determinant form, and then I went ahead, and this is A times D, subtract C times B. Alrighty, so we have 12 times negative 45 equals negative 540, subtract 27 times 21 is negative 567. Well, remember, subtract a negative is just like adding a positive. So when you add those two together, the result should be 27. So this determinant answer, so the determinant of this should equal 27. Now, when we're looking at number 7 here, same thing. We're going to multiply negative 14 times negative 25 to give you a negative number. We're going to subtract 26 times negative 18, and that's also going to be a negative number. So you're going to have a negative number plus a positive number. And depending on which one's bigger, your answer will, if the bigger digit number is negative, if negative 14 times 29 is larger than 26 times negative 18, then the answer will be negative. All right, now we're moving on to evaluate a 3 by 3. 3 by 3 determinant. It's a little bit trickier. So this is what we're going to do. Hold on tight. Copy the first two columns to the right of the third column. So, and I've already done it. So notice I took these two columns and I copied them there. The next step, highlight or circle. It's better to highlight because sometimes when you circle you lose the negative signs. The 3 diagonals moving left to right, so the top left, right here, we're going to highlight the first 3 diagonals. And I've done it right here. And see, it's easier to see the negative sign. Highlight or circle, all right. And then multiply the diagonal numbers and then add the 3 products. So, notice what I did here. I multiply those 3 diagonals. -1 times 3 times 3, which is right here. -1 times 3 times 3, which equals -9. Then 4 times 0 times -4, 4 times 0 times -4, 0 times anything is 0. And then -2 times -5 is +10. +10 times -2 is -20, which is what I did here. And now you're going to add those numbers together to give you -29. And then we're going to repeat steps 2, starting at the lower left value. So we're going to find these 3 diagonals, multiply those 3 values, multiply those 3 values, multiply those 3 values, and then when you get the answers, you're going to add the 3 answers together. So there we did it. Let's see. So we multiplied -4 times 3 times -2. That gave us +24. -2 times 0 times -1. 0 times anything is 0. 3 times -5 times 4 is -60. Now, here is the next step. Let's see if I put all the steps on there. All right. The very final step, you're going to take the result of the first diagonal and you're going to subtract the diagonals, I'm going to put a plural there, of the second diagonals. And when you do that, you're going to have your determinant for this. So let's see what we did down here. So remember, the first diagonals were right here. The second diagonal results are right here. -9 plus -20 is -29. 20 subtract 60 is -36. But this says subtract. So subtract -36. You would add 36. When you add those together, you get +7. So that's what you do. So evaluate the determinant. You're going to do the steps that we did below. You're going to copy down the first 2 columns. You're going to highlight the diagonals moving left to right. You're going to highlight the diagonals moving left to right, but starting from the bottom. You're going to take the first diagonal results, subtract the second diagonal results. So 2 times 5 times 0 is 0, plus 3 times 1 times 0 is 0. 0 times 0 times 3 is 0. Well, that's easy. Let's go the other way. 0 times 5 times 0 is 0. 3 times 1 times 2 is 6. 0 times 0 times 3 is 0. So what you end up with is 0 subtract 6, which equals -6. All right, that's it for this video, finding determinants.